Hey, everybody. Welcome to the All Clemson Tigers football show. I'm Brad Sinkoff, the deputy editor over at allclemsontigers.com, part of the Clemson Maven multimedia platform. I'm going to spend a few minutes with you here today. Get you ready for a huge week for Clemson football. And for you, our loyal folks out there, we've got a lot going on. And I want to kind of just spend some time previewing what all is going to be going on and how you can be involved in it. So please stick with me here for the next few minutes and get to some big things happening at allclemsontigers.com. Make sure you get allclemsontigers.com. Check out all the work we got going on in terms of the writing portion of our content that we bring to you each and every day, as we got all kinds of recruiting, as well as some big things going on with the upcoming events beginning Tuesday and carrying over into next week for ACC kickoff. You would not want to miss what all we got going over at allclemsontigers.com. And please, first and foremost, what I need you to do to help us out, hit the subscribe button, like us on YouTube, leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Love for you to be a part of All Clemson Tigers football show. So please go ahead and knock that out for us real quick if you don't mind. Now, let's get into what we're going to be talking about today. Dabo Swinney's media event gets going on Tuesday. That's right, folks. We made it. The long stretch from the end of spring ball to the beginning of talking season is over. We get to hear from Coach Swinney himself on Tuesday, as well as entire staff. So cannot wait for that. And allclemsontigers.com is going to be live on the scene all day Tuesday for this big event. So it's really the first time, for those of you who don't really know, that we get to have some off-season time with these guys. It's, post-spring, it's post-summer. They're still doing workouts, but it's sort of to kick off the 2023 season. Each assistant we made available to the media for a good while. So we're going to have live coverage of that. We're going to have videos up for you at allclemsontigers.com and right here on our All Clemson Tigers YouTube channel. So make sure you do and stay subscribed. But we'll get to talk to all of those guys this week. And, I have a lot of questions for the coaches. In fact, I kind of put together a quick list of just some things that, I want to ask them and I want to find out. And it really starts with, Coach Swinney himself and what Dabo has to say. And, generally speaking, he sort of kind of lays out how he thinks about his team and what he thinks is going to happen with his team. And first and foremost, I want to know about the health of the team. There were a lot of guys out in the spring, not really guys that you think are going to be super long-term. A lot of them sort of working their way back from surgery season, which seems to happen every year now as we kind of roll through the end of a season and into fall camp or into spring ball. A lot of guys get a lot of work done. So there's some guys who are still maybe working their way back. So we'll get some updates on this, some health updates on the team. And I want to know just how Coach Swinney feels about this team. Usually he kind of tells you, is this one he's really excited about? Does he feel like there's going to be an opportunity to do some special things this season? What's maybe the position or two that he's really, feels great about with his team? So those will be some of the big overlaying questions for Coach Swinney as he addresses the media on Tuesday. So look forward to hearing from him on that. Some other things, though, some of the coaches we're going to get to hear from. Garrett Riley, new offensive coordinator for the Tigers. Really thrilled to get a chance to get to be around him, get to know him a little bit more, his style of coaching, just kind of how he addresses and works and talks with the media. It's really a good opportunity for us. And, because we're sort of the conduit, right, for the fans. And so we're going to help you kind of get to know a bit more about Garrett Riley coming up on Tuesday. Some things I have questions for him about. Just where's Cade Klubnik, the starting quarterback, at? Coach Riley is the quarterback's coach as well as the offensive coordinator. And they check in. They're not allowed to be, on the field coaching these guys, but they check in with them. This is a time for team drills or individual drills and just sort of their own 7-on-7 kind of workout season where the players are in charge. What has Cade Klubnik improved at? Where is he in that process? And how has his game advanced? How has he built chemistry with the offense? Looking forward to hearing from Coach Riley on all of those things. And then another question I have for him, who's number 2 heading into fall camp? Like, who's the guy behind Cade Klubnik? Is it the former walk-on Hunter Helms? Where is Paul Tyson, the Arizona State transfer via Alabama as well? So kind of where do those guys stay? Where's Chris Vizina fit into the depth chart early on as the Tigers get ready for the 2023 season? So that'll be some good stuff coming from Coach Riley. We'll hear from Thomas Austin, the offensive line coach. I want to know how his depth is. How strong is that depth behind that first unit? Because I think that first group is going to be pretty good this year. We'll see how that all plays out. But my gut feeling and just the way that I've studied that group, I think it's going to be one of the better offensive lines they've had from a continuity standpoint. New left tackle, obviously with Jordan McFadden moving on, but I think those guys are absolutely ready. You see Tristan Lee stepping into that role over there, Blake Miller playing right tackle. But I also kind of want to know if things get a little wonky or if things change in camp, we could see some movement. And what could that look like? Nobody had Blake Miller starting for the Tigers this time last year. And he is a true freshman. He started at right tackle. So we'll catch up with Thomas Austin and just kind of see if there's maybe some surprises coming this year and check in on his depth. CJ Spiller, running backs coach. What's that split going to look like between Will Shipley and Phil Maffa? I think Phil Maffa had a chance to go elsewhere. I think he could have hit the transfer portal, commanded a nice NIL package, been a starter somewhere at a big-time D1 school. I don't think there's any question Maffa has that ability. So how they kind of keep him happy? Where's he going to fit in with the reps and how he's going to work in with Will Shipley and what that workload looks like? And plus, is Dominique Thomas a former walk-on? Is he the clear-cut number 3 running back? We've seen Clemson in past years use 3, sometimes 4 backs throughout a season, keeping guys healthy, keeping them fresh, giving them opportunities, rewarding guys who practice hard. Going to be curious to see kind of where Thomas fits into all that as well, because I do think he's very needed in this room. Tyler Grisham, wide receivers coach. Simple question I got for him. I know a lot of people are going to say, hey, is this going to be the old wide receiver you and all that kind of stuff? For me, it's just, hey, where do the freshmen fit in? Who can make an impact that's either on the team right now, who's been with the team back in the spring, or some of the new guys who just came in this summer? There's 4 new freshman wide receivers on this team. What does their impact look like? And just get a sense of where they are starting out as they get ready for fall camp coming up in early August. And then there's Kyle Richardson, works with the tight ends. He's going to be working closely with Garrett Riley as well, as he does some of the passing game coordination kind of stuff. But for tight ends, I want to know, what's the ceiling for Jake Brenningstool? This was like the breakout player of the year for Clemson. I think he's going to take a massive jump from his sophomore season to his junior season. Really think he'd have a big year. I think he's going to be integral in this offense, in this scheme. So I'm just curious, where is he at and what the ceiling is for Brenningstool? And then who's behind him? Is there anybody that's going to emerge big time as a number 2? So we'll get those from those questions answered from Kyle Richardson on Tuesday. Switching over to the defensive side of the ball, Lemansky Hall, defensive ends coach. First and foremost, I want to know, what kind of summer has XT had? Where's Xavier Thomas health-wise, physically? How does he feel? That's always just sort of been a lingering issue with him throughout his career. Where is XT health-wise? How engaged, just how ready, how hungry is he to prove something in his final year with the Clemson Tigers? He came back for a reason. What is it he wants to prove with this team? And then, of course, who else is going to emerge? Who else can help this team get a pass rush? Because Xavier Thomas, the only guy played defensive last year on this team who had a sack, who's back this year. So who else is going to be involved in that? We'll get some answers from Lemansky Hall. Nick Easton, defensive tackles coach. He's got so much to work with. Strongest position maybe on the entire team, with all the bodies, with Rukaroro coming back and Tyler Davis, along with guys like DeMonte Capehart and Trey Williams and now Peter Woods, the freshman. All these guys in the mix. How does he handle the rotation? What does that look like in terms of his idea of how he rotates these guys in to a single game and also throughout the season? And then the linebacker coach, also the defensive coordinator, Wes Goodwin, what will the abilities of Barrett Carter and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. do for this defense? Now, those 2 guys are All-Americans, All-American candidates, I should say right now. But they're 2 of the best players in the country at their respective positions. They play the same. One's middle and one is on the weak side. But these 2 guys can absolutely change the complexion of what Goodwin wants to do, or at least affect the complexion of what he wants to do. You think last year, Trotter not quite emerged yet. You had, Barrett Carter started actually at the Sam position and then moved to Will later on in the season. So now that he knows where those guys fit and what they're capable of doing and how they can affect blitz packages, how they can drop back in coverage, I'm really curious to get an idea of maybe kind of how he sees the rest of the defense. And if those are the two centerpieces, it sort of builds out and in from those two guys. Mike Reed, long time cornerbacks coach, been at Clemson for years and years and years now, knows what he's doing with this group, has developed NFL talent seemingly every season. He's got Nate Wiggins, he's got Sheridan Jones back, but he's got a lot of guys behind them. I'm curious to see where those guys sort of fit in and what that rotation could look like at defensive back or at corner with a really strong and solid room. And then Mickey Kahn works with the safeties, does some special team stuff too, but really curious what he's going to do with his group. So many older safeties. Jalen Phillips came back. There's a lot of guys who came back for this group. He's got RJ Mickens back there, and we'll see kind of how they fit an Andrew Makuba into corner or safety, whatever he ends up doing. But I'm just curious with Khan, what do the young guys look like? What can they contribute to this team in 2023? I'm very curious to see how that goes. So we'll be out there live on Tuesday. We'll give you some updates. Make sure you're following us. We encourage you to follow us. Go to allclemsontigers.com, but also on our social channels. You see it down there, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We'll give you live updates, what we're hearing and seeing. So looking forward to what's going to be a really fun and entertaining day on Tuesday. Our first real opportunity to just kind of sit back, talk to the coaches, get their thoughts, pick their brains, and we'll bring you plenty of coverage of that. Speaking of that coverage, big day on Wednesday. We're going to double up this week. Not only is Tuesday huge for you, but Wednesday, All Clemson Tigers live show makes its return. For those of you who got a chance to watch us back, we did one in June on recruiting. Now we're going to switch gears and do the All Clemson Tigers Fall Camp Preview Show live from Dockside in Clemson. It's Wednesday, July the 19th, 7 p.m. Go ahead and carve out some time for us. You can watch it live. We'll watch it here on YouTube. We'll have it for you. We want you to be a part of it too. We got some new interactive ways to get you involved, so please stay tuned for that. Come out and see us at Dockside if you want to. Come hang out, meet the crew. It's going to be myself, publisher Zach Lentz, writer Will Vandervoort, and, of course, recruiting analyst Jason Priester. So your whole team's going to be there. We want you to come out and see us. Dockside, 7 p.m. on Wednesday. Some of the topics at hand, we'll get into the freshman class for this 2023 group. What are their impacts going to be? What does it look like in terms of a lot of these younger players? We'll tell you what we feel really good about going into the season, and then maybe what our concerns are going into the season. And we'll get some recruiting updates from Jason Priester. Don't want to miss that segment, I promise you. And we'll get some reactions to what happened and what we heard on Tuesday from the coaches. Plus, we'll discuss this. Is Clemson a playoff team in 2023? It's a great question, an easy one and a fun one to break down. So we'll look forward to getting into that. And we want you to absolutely come out and be a part of it or watch us right here on YouTube. Again, that's Wednesday. It is the All Clemson Tigers Fall Camp Preview Show live at Dockside, 7 p.m. Make your put in your phone, carve out the time now, get ready for it. It's going to be a huge event, and we're really looking forward to it as we get closer and closer to the kickoff of the season on Labor Day night when the Tigers take on the Duke Blue Devils. I'm Brad Sinko. Thanks again for joining me. Make sure you go to allclemsontigers.com, allclemsontigers.com for all the news and the latest that's going on, and follow us on our social media platforms. Look forward to seeing you on Wednesday. Take care.